Welcome to the Totally Honest Kitchen. This is Mark. Today we are making chicken stock, and to do that I've got about 5 pounds of chicken wings in front of me, a couple onions, a couple carrots, about 4 celery stalks, some parsley, and some thyme, and some bay leaves in an old garlic container. Anyway, we're going to start by breaking down our chicken thighs, and I'll talk about the rest on the way. Okay, so this was going to start, we're going to cut the chicken at the joints, so we're going to half them. I'm going to take the winglet off too, and it's all going in the pot, just not quite yet. So now I'm probably going to mess this up a few times in front of the camera, but then we will get better at it as we go. See? But once you find that joint and you get in the rhythm, it's really easy to do. I'm not going to do all these in front of you, but see, you'll see this joint right here, and you just want to go around it. These might still have a little ice on them. You don't need to know that. Okay, there we go. Okay. So again, once you've got a few under your belt, you'll get a rhythm for it. We're breaking down the chicken first. We're not adding to the pot just yet. And I'll be back on as soon as I finish with these. I should note that once you get the rhythm down, it gets really easy to just go like this. And then kind of eyeball it on this side. Like that. And you're done. Like I said, easy peasy. It is easiest to put it upside down so that you can kind of see the joints through the fatty network. But even if you miss the joints, chicken wings are pretty forgiving if you have a good knife. Once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and chop our vegetables. I've got one biggish onion and one smallish onion. I'm just going to quarter it. I'll do the same over here. This is a pretty basic broth. You can do a lot of fancy things to this beforehand if you really want to. You can roast the chicken. You can add in additional vegetables to layer flavors. 2 carrots peeled. We're going to chop her off. Four celery stalks trimmed down. And we're just going to cut them rough like we did the carrots. Okay, so once we got everybody cut up, we're going to take a tablespoon of oil. Put it in the pot. Actually, I'm going to go 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil here because this is kind of a big pot and this is kind of a lot of chicken. Most recipes have you do 2.5, 3.5 pounds. I'm using 5 because that's what the family pack was in and that's how I saved the most money. So cut everything up. I should also note at this point, for those people that like me are anxious in the kitchen, I have never made stock before. I've seen other cooking shows make it and declare it the nectar of the gods, and oh my god, you'll never want to buy store-bought stock again, and OMG, LOL, AFK, I don't know. What are the young kids saying today? Anyway, I've never done that before because for some reason stock has made me anxious in the past. But there's no reason for that, right? Totally Honest Cooking Show. Anyone can cook. That is our motto here. So I'm doing it. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay. So also it's becoming somewhat clear that I should probably get a bigger pot at some point if I'm going to keep doing this. We're gonna need a bigger boat. It's okay, right? That's life. And again, I do research before all of these. I try to find the best way to do it. But at the end of the day, there's only so many ways you can do stock, right? So this has got to be hard to mess up. So from here, we're just gonna spin these guys around, soften the vegetables a little bit, let everybody get to know each other. Like I said, like I may have said already, you can roast these guys up to get it a little bit more roasted chicken flavor, but it's not necessary. Okay, then we're going to cover it in about as many quarts of water as you have used chicken. At least that is what it appeared to be in my research. So this is about 5 pounds of chicken. I'm gonna do close to 5 quarts of water, but not 5 quarts of water because I don't want to overdo it. Don't want to dilute the chickeny flavor. So I'm thinking maybe 4.5 quarts of water, and that'll be fine here. If you're the kind of person that likes to measure, I got this big 8-cup measuring cup. You can tell it's big because this is a stock pot, and also it has 8 cups written on the side of it. If you can actually see that, I don't know. Where's my head? There it is. See? And again, all of this is filmed with a GoPro attached to my head, so sometimes finding the shot can be difficult. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. The vegetables are starting to soften a little bit. There's a little color in the chicken, but it's not browning because we don't want that yet. We're going to turn the heat all the way up to high, and we're going to start adding our water. Again, about 1 quart per pound of chicken. So this is, let's not drown my phone. So this is a couple quarts. That's 2 quarts. And this is probably not the right size vessel for this. So that's going to be interesting. So I wanted about 5 quarts, but it turns out this stock pot only holds about 4 quarts. Well, I might be able to get up to 5 quarts, but I really wish I hadn't. So that's what we're going with today. I'm gonna have to get a bigger pot if I want to do bigger amounts of stock. This was a good way to learn that, obviously. So we're gonna bring this to a boil, and then we are going to simmer it. So I'll be back when this starts to boil. Okay, it's boiling. Now we're gonna skim all this scum off the top. And we're doing our best not to take anybody out of the pot while we do this. It's pretty clear at this stage that I needed a bigger pot for this for the volume that I wanted to make. But my thought is, if you're going to do this, do it so that you only have to do it a couple times a year. But at the end of the day, we should have about 4 quarts of stock. I'm just gonna put that there. And now I'm gonna add a big old handful of parsley. Just work it on in there. About 4 sprigs of thyme. A sprig is like one of these. And how big are my bay leaves? We'll say 3 or 4 of these, depending on size. So we've hit our limit for what we can fit into this pot. I'm like 90% sure. You're gonna want to keep watching this for scum. And as the scum develops, you're gonna want to skim it off the top. But we're gonna partially cover so that steam is still escaping. And we're gonna reduce the heat to a simmer. Now, and here's the thing, okay? You can simmer this for like 2 hours, stirring occasionally, you will have stock. You could simmer it for 4 hours, stirring occasionally, you will have a better stock. And that's what I'm aiming for, about 4 hours simmering in a pot. You could go 6 hours if you wanted, and it would probably even be a better stock. So whatever you have time for. I'm going for 4 hours because that'll take me to about 6:30. Then I gotta cool this enough that I can either jar it or stick it in the fridge overnight. So that's where we are. I will see you in 4 hours. You don't have to stay here though. I have to, I live here. Okay, we're about an hour in. Notice that it's starting to look the color of stock. That's a good sign. I realized that I forgot to add salt and pepper, so I'm gonna take a big pinch, we'll say 2 teaspoons. We're not using a lot of salt because I don't want to over salt the broth, given that it's going to be used in cooking, and we don't want to over salt in general. We're also going to add a handful of black peppercorns. Whoa, that's way too many. We'll say like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 1 extra one fell in when I was counting. Give it a little stir. I've been stirring this every, I don't know, half hour or so. No big. And then we're just gonna put the lid back on, let her simmer. It's been 4 hours, and as you can see, the chicken is pretty much falling apart, and the broth looks like broth. We're gonna go ahead and strain this into another container. I'm running it through a cheesecloth and a fine mesh strainer into this pot, and then I'll start transferring it into containers. Now there are a couple routes we can go for containers. I'm using these plastic ones that look like they fit about 4 cups each. We'll see. But you can use glass. However, if you get glass, obviously I don't have the sizes right on these, but this is the kind of glass that you want, the one with the white lid. You don't want this kind of glass. This is, you can see the shoulders here. You want straight sides, like this, not like this. If you do buy these, like I bought a whole crap ton of these, but I have this show, so I'm assuming I'll use these at some point for something crazy. You can only fill these to like here, because it's going to expand in the fridge or in the freezer. You can only fill these to about here because they're going to expand in the freezer, and it might pop the glass and shatter everywhere, and nobody wants that. In any event, we're going to see if we can funnel this through the cheesecloth and without making a huge mess. And I expect this process will take a little while. Obviously, as it goes, we're going to remove the chicken and the vegetables. If we were making a chicken soup, this would be great, but I have other ideas for this stock. I'm thinking I'm gonna do my potato soup for the channel, and I'm probably going to use this for other things that require stock, you know, sauces, stuff like that. I will take a picture of the finished product for this, but I think that's pretty much all there is. We're gonna fill them into the containers, and then that'll be that. After it cools, you can start funneling it into the containers, but I'm gonna do that on my own. The The title thumbnail should show you if I was successful or not. Like, subscribe, click the little bell, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.